Hello, everybody. Welcome to Plat Chat, episode 31, I think.
Yeah.
No funny
Holy
intros.
shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. We got the right episode number.
Kurt wrote it on the Run a Show thing in the Discord, so it's not that impressive.
This is a serious episode because we've had some serious events that have transpired.
This is why we pay Kurt.
Yeah.
What's transpired, Bren?
Just a lot of stuff, really. Should we recap the week? You know, week 12 happened.
I'll tell you what seriously happened to us. We were in a Discord call, wondering where you two were because you were slightly late. And then Bren goes, "Oh, Kurt's had to go to hospital."
Yeah, Bren told us Kurt needed to go to the hospital. That's why he was late.
I said, Kurt's
And I said, "Oh, really? Is it bad? Really?" Question mark.
Let me just play the message that I sent Johnny. I said to Johnny, "Nah, just fucking with you," followed by "suck my dick," followed by that. So that's why the Plat Chat recording. I mean, for you guys, it's going to be on time, but for us, it's like 20 minutes late.
Oh, don't promise.
And the YouTube comments wonder why I never talk in this show.
There's a good
guess.
There's a good chance we could be late to upload it as well. So don't promise anything about being on time. But I guess whenever they see it, it's on time.
A lot happened this week. Boston got pooed on.
Oh yeah.
New York.
That was an extraordinary poo. Like
York
it was
and Asia.
extraordinarily bad.
New York getting some pretty dominant wins against some good teams.
Did you see that someone on the Reddit posted that the longest map of all time is over 10 minutes longer than that Boston match versus Florida?
I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't watch it because I was in bed.
Well, it skipped on past you. You must have blinked.
I slept because we were doing the late night cast. I slept, woke up anticipating the game to be midway through, so I would catch the end of it, and the next match was starting, and that was with delays.
That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. Bren waking up in time to see a Boston game. That's the greatest lie.
Here's how it went. Bren woke up, and then he put Animal Crossing on his TV, and then he laid there. And then after a while, he was like, "Oh, let me check my phone and see if the game is still on." And then he's like, "Oh wow, it's over. All right."
No, I
and then
definitely woke up
back down and played Animal
I woke up at
Crossing.
3 p.m. and the next match had started. And apparently, that match only started at 3 p.m. because there was a delay in the first match.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, not really, not much has happened, but we can talk about, I guess, New York.
There were so many 3-0s.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
Yeah,
we were like, "Oh, it's gonna be the
brutal.
best week of Overwatch League in months," and it's just 3-0s.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
This is Texas. Apart from Hangzhou Spark versus Chengdu, that was it.
Yeah,
Those
but
were the only
wasn't
two
good
matches that didn't end in 3-0s.
No,
The weird
but
thing was-
Chengdu was basically a 3-0. I mean, I casted that game, and Chengdu, like, if you would have just if you would have just watched game one and then watched the rest of the series, and you would have thought there was a completely different team that Chengdu put out there. I mean, they were fucking hot trash the last two maps.
That was a game where you were messaging me on TeamSpeak saying, "Is
Iveltal drunk?"
Yeah. Because there was at one point on I think it was Route 66. It was Route 66. His Reinhardt died on the high ground. He sped boost to the cart, dropped beat, and then just walked away. And then they all went back to around the corner, and I was like, "What in God's name is this?" I actually wasn't sure I was watching the right thing because it was late at night. I was kind of like, "Whoa, what the hell is going on?" I was like, "What am I seeing?" Like, it's like, this is insane. Like,
So you guys are actually like the night casters. You were the night caster this past weekend.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Chengdu? Like, are they like top 15, top 10, like, or are they just trash? Like, what's the deal with Chengdu? I don't get it.
You have a better chance of predicting how Chengdu plays by flipping a coin here and just picking a side than they do.
Yeah, but give me a theory.
My theory is that they suck at rush compositions, but they're like all right at
like
double
Death Ball.
shield. Yeah, death ball stuff. But they're all right at double shield, like split double shield, where your Sigma plays off with a DPS on some other side. That was where they got some of their wins.
Yes.
And then they're all right when they play like Pharaoh comps or dive comps or something like that, and the other team opts into it. But their neutral meta stuff was pretty trash.
The issue for me with them is they're decent at double shield, but they're not going to beat anybody at it. and the only chance they have is to just play these like wacky compositions. But to play anything close to the meta, they have to move around some players in the roster, which eliminates the wacky compositions.
Oh, that's so dumb when they do that. When they put in Ating and Bacon Jack,
Ating
well, you've thrown already, mate.
Is Ating just trash?
Well, he's not trash, but the issue is as soon as you see them sub in Ating and Bacon Jack, you know they're going to play McCree and they're going to play Reinhardt. So you know they're not going to do anything else. Like, and if they were going to run any other type of weird stuff, they wouldn't have those guys in the game.
Yeah.
So immediately,
the only
the
time
other team's like, oh yeah, we know what's happening. All right, cool.
So the only times they win is when other teams opt into.
They
like,
ruin
the
their own surprise factor. The best part about Chengdu is that they could surprise you with weird shit, and because of their roster moves and what they have to do game to game, they ruin the element of surprise. Because
is that how you want to build a team?
Oh fuck no! You didn't want to build like that last year. No.
Dude, you build a team any fucking way you can to get to playoffs. You build a team to get wins wherever you can.
I agree.
What did they finish last year?
They nearly made playoffs. They finished like 13th or something. They nearly snuck in at the end. Did
Jamie, pull that up.
I thought they were like one away from making plans.
No, they made plans.
No, they got tied at 16 last year. No, wait, that's stage. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
They made plans. I remember them playing for plans.
Yeah, 12th. 12th. They got the last play-in spot over the Valiant. The Valiant who went 0-7 in stage 1.
Oh, and it was Valiant could have done it at their own homestand, but they failed. Yeah, that was
I actually looked up that statistic.
Doomfist and they lost.
After stage 1, where Valiant went 0-7, they had like the 5th or the 6th highest win rate in the league after stage 1.
Yeah.
That's how bad they were in stage 1 and how good they were afterwards, and they still didn't make playoffs. So
kind of crazy.
Anyway, tangent.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about New York then? Because we've seen them play.
Josh. What do we think about New York?
They fucking owned.
After getting an unbelievable amount of.
Their Twitter's gonna check the video. They're gonna leave a comment down below.
That's the worst part about it. That's the worst part. All right.
Apologize.
Silence, brand, while I tell you what's wrong with your team. The NYXL did perform well this week. They actually performed really well. I feel like they've improved a lot. They're not running Who Are You on the May anymore, unless they're also going to run Genji comps, which I love. They looked superb when they ran Dive. When they had Jonak on the Zen and they were able to run Who Are You on the Genji, they looked nuts. Like, they looked really clean. And
this is where he goes. This is where he ends it with. They're no Guangzhou charge though.
No, they beat the Guangzhou charge, all right? All right.
I know.
But here's the thing. This week, it's so annoying because this week, the reason we thought all the games were going to be good is that we had like what we thought were top teams playing against each other. And actually, the results of this week have just shown that we were wrong in thinking that certain teams were top teams.
Yeah.
Like we were. I thought the New York and Guangzhou were around the same kind of level, somewhere around the same level as like the Gladiators. But actually, I feel like New York have improved to the point where they're quite significantly better than that level, and Guangzhou were perhaps never at that level. And same with the Spark.
Please keep watching my power rankings.
I think
correct, please.
I mean,
we'll make the correct ones at the end of this show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, leave the power rankings to professionals like me, Brennan, and Josh. You know, you can make your doodly ones over on the side, but leave the big toys to the adults. All right.
Shout out to my boys Xfinity.
I do. I think New York this week, especially with how Seoul played against Shanghai, and we'll talk a little bit about that one. But I think New York could have like cemented themselves as at least the number 2 team in the Asia region. I think they're going to be that good.
Yeah, I that makes sense with Seoul, right?
Yeah.
The thing is,
I would say so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because what's the deal with Seoul? Because the Seoul and New York have both kind of beaten the crap out of teams below them at this point, right? Like if we're ignoring previous New York where they were not beating the crap out of the teams below them, they were losing a couple of maps to people here and there.
Seoul
but right now,
pushed in by Shanghai.
But Seoul also dominated both the LA teams and also dominated the Hangzhou Spark to the point where it wasn't even close against any of those teams. So you can't say that the Seoul are a bad team.
Hangzhou's losing maps to Chengdu. Like they're looking like they're gonna lose to Chengdu.
I don't think Seoul are a bad team at all.
No, Spark have never lost to
Chengdu. Nobody said that Seoul was a bad team. I'm just saying I think Seoul very well will probably end up being the 3rd or 4th best team in the Asia region.
I don't think there's any way they end up fourth because they would have.
Oh, actually no, because Vancouver went back.
Yeah.
So that worst are third.
Bro, you had what? If Vancouver was still in Asia, you had them in the top 4.
I think they by the end of the season they could be. Yeah.
Mate, do we discuss Vancouver at any point during this? No, we don't.
Actually,
Okay.
no, we don't. We really should though. We should
let's talk about. I want to just talk. I want to.
The comments were begging for it. The comments were begging for it last week.
They were like, they know because they're not talking about Vancouver.
The players have been revolting. The players have been revolting by changing all their social media shit, right?
Yeah.
So it appears.
But they're players.
The most recent announcement from them is that they're moving back to NA after moving to Korea. Okay, I'll give you one clue that would make. I'll tell you what would make me fucking revolt. I'll tell you what would make me revolt. Spending 2 weeks in quarantine in Korea and then being told to go back to America where it's significantly worse.
Yeah.
Like, that would immediately make me, I want out of this team straight away.
Especially because there's clearly some reason why the players demanded to be moved to Korea in the first place, right? Like, it's not like the organization is like, oh, happy days, we're moving you to Korea. And the players are like, no, I am objecting to moving to Korea. Like, that's definitely.
I think the biggest worry for them is they're going to be on some, like, because we obviously, they don't play this week, I don't think. They're going to have a ton of games to play.
Yeah.
Like, how many games have they played so far? Like 4?
They are fucked. How are you going to get proper practice when you're in quarantine, for one? Like when you're all playing on some of them might not have even had PCs when they were in their quarantine setup. Because when you move back to Korea, when you go to Korea from any country, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. So you're not allowed to move into an office or whatever. Practice facilities is non-existent. And now they're making them go back to NA again. So like traveling this much isn't normal. Like it takes it out of you. And this is genuinely, this is what I don't understand about this. You're putting your players in danger even, again, like even more.
Yeah, it's a pandemic. Like,
they played 4 games and the Londons played 5.
I just don't understand what the management's doing. And if it is to get easier wins against some of the easier teams in America, I mean, that's just pathetic from an organization standpoint.
There's no way it's that.
What is the reasoning behind it then?
I have no idea why they're moving back to North America, but it's very clear that there's some real strife here between the players and the management, and there's some weird stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't want to play devil's advocate. Never mind.
Dude, also, someone just leaked something.
Did you see the?
All I'm gonna say is the team is. No, I'm not gonna go down. No, I'm just gonna. No,
you can't just bait people.
No,
but what I'm saying is like the team is from Vancouver, but I still feel bad because it's like it's a pandemic. The players
I don't think
with their families. I don't know.
I think there's
it's complicated. It's complicated.
I think that if it ever comes to light, the management will probably never work with, or rather, the management will never have an opportunity to work with Korean players again, because the Korean players will just avoid the organization, I think, probably. So Vancouver are probably going to be in a position where they just never have a Korean team again if they don't resolve whatever issue is happening between them and the players, because people talk about that kind of stuff and they don't want to be, in similar kind of positions. I also think that it's kind of interesting to look at. Did you guys see this on the competitive Overwatch subreddit? This Ready Set Pwn podcast. Now, I've never listened to the podcast myself, but it
was a big thread, wasn't it?
I don't listen to competing podcasts. I only listen to our own.
I think they're like a Vancouver specific podcast, and so they got on the the senior director of content and design for Canucks Sport and Entertainment. Basically, that means that someone who works for the parent company of the Titans. And they said that the initial plan for the team was to continue to have the team based here in Vancouver. Now, if anyone isn't aware, the team is based inside of a sports complex that is designed. It's like basically like a gym complex, as far as I'm aware, that's designed to be like where athletes go for short-term training. So you live in what do you call them? Like kind of like a. I don't want to say like a dorm setup, because I think they do show like really nice rooms, but I'm sure the range of the rooms is quite significantly different. And I think that the Vancouver Titans have just been in that area for ages. Now, I don't know about you, but being in a sports complex that's shared with a lot of other people for the entirety of your time whilst based in a foreign country would not be particularly happy. Like, I wouldn't be particularly happy to be stuck in a Korean sports complex for months upon end.
But isn't that though kind of a part of like the league of like what you sign up for, right? Like it's not just kind of.
What other teams are based in gymnasium complexes?
Not in a gym complex, right? But if you sign up to play with, let's say you sign up to play with Boston. You know, you're gonna go live in Boston. That's gonna be like
but it's about living conditions, right?
Yeah,
like when I did Apex Season 2 with Misfits, what Apex provided was one hotel room as a practice facility where we had like 7 PCs, 6 players, and 1 coach, and then my other room was where I was sleeping in a 2-bedroom with Twick or whatever, and that was all we had. We had a practice room and a sleeping room in a hotel, and we had that for over a month. Like, you get depressed real fast. Like that takes its toll on you to just stay in 2 different hotel rooms for over a month. Like, and you play Overwatch like 12 hours a day, and then you study VODs and like you take notes and whatever, and like maybe you go out for a drink once every week, whatever. Dude, that shit gets tragic real fast. Like, I know people talk a lot about how like humans get, you know, acclimated to whatever their area is, but it's not like you gotta have some.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Especially
you gotta have
because
some
Vancouver
good
went from
there.
living in a sick, like bomb-ass house in the Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that was so sick.
Their house was nuts.
Yeah. So, and I think if you have some kind of pre-existing issues already, the fact that you're all stuck in together in the middle of a pandemic and in scenarios that are very much professional, not comfortable living scenarios, that's gonna really exacerbate.
And I do wonder though, like how the end of last season kind of spiraled into this as well, right? Like the last season where they lose a shock at the end and Bumper's not in, and then he doesn't. There's like no mention of Bumper ever since that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It clearly didn't end well last year, and then I think to come into this year and then get off to such a rocky start all over the place.
The thing is,
put this team in a great place.
Yeah, the thing that like it doesn't piss me off or anything, but it's quite sad how Huxel was arguably like the runner-up for league MVP last year, and we haven't seen him play yet. And it's like this is legit a really good squad. Like Janu, Twilight, these are sick players, and we know that. But like we barely seen them this season.
This is also one of the reasons, though, that you kind of need journalists in a scene, because nobody wants this situation to come to light. Like the players are probably not fans of bringing whatever they've done to light. Like the team isn't going to be fans of bringing whatever they've done to light. But until they know, like if you're a player trying to pick up, say this entire situation falls to pieces and the Titans end up getting rid of all of their players in this offseason. If you're a player that's trying to pick them up, what, you're just trying to go off gossip and hearsay to try and figure out what happened in the situation and who was to blame and whether or not the players are toxic or whether it was a management's fault or something. Like,
this is not Fisher's. Yeah, this is not Fisher's or Rejay Hong's fault. Like, I don't think it's one individual player's fault. Like, it's a complicated situation.
Their fault?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the exact opposite.
No, the default Reddit response is, Fisher, drama, whatever. And I think it's unfair because I think apparently this team could have been so sick this year. And I think it's unfair.
From watching Fisher's stream, it's like he's just been in... his stint out of the league has matured him as a human. Because do you remember, this is the guy who leaked the 222 roll lock. And he was saying
while streaming, by the way, that was also while streaming after he had left the league, so he can't
even Bren would do that.
He retired on stream and then like leaked it. I mean,
he is 21 to be fair, but like he was 20 at the time.
And it was the guy that was accusing Slasher of lying.
Was asking him on stream recently.
Slasher of lying, classic. Oh no, he actually doesn't have insight. He's just lying.
Yeah, and then it turned out to be true, and he was like,
he was asking him about the issues with the Vancouver Titans, and he came out with a very PR response, which I was proud of. You know, it shows that Fisher is learning. It was, I can't remember what the actual response was, but you know, he just answered it. He was like, it's whatever. It sounds like Fisher is just chilling in his team as it implodes around him.
Yes, I think that's my understanding of it as well, is that it was that Fisher and Jaehyung were actually like trying to fix this and just.
And I think too, like back to some of the stuff we were talking about before, I think with all the I think them coming back to NA is weird as well, but you're also like, I mean, all the players took Vancouver out of their Twitter bios, right? So who knows if even those are the players that are coming to NA? Who knows if they're not just going to use players that are already here, right?
Like the players might be refusing to play. The players
I also think with how the teams in the league as a whole have really done an excellent job of protecting everybody's safety through all of this. I highly doubt they would let a whole team move back and forth, right? Throughout the world. So I think there's a chance that maybe you see new players, like, which I have no idea how that happens during this, but you kind of piece some stuff together of like, okay, well, you know, they all don't have it in their bio, like they're playing in this region, like, well, what happens? I wouldn't be surprised if you see, or they could do something where, hey, you know, let's let the current players just stay in Korea for a bit until things calm down. Let's pick up 6 players here in the States who can play in the time being, right?
Pick up Envy. You
I
won't.
think that's so bad. You might have a situation where you're worse than Boston. That's such.
Oh
a
yeah,
bad...
you totally could.
No.
But also, what
No.
Yeah, I don't.
What if you pick up 6 random players? You could definitely be worse than Boston.
Well, I don't
There's
think they're
so
picking
much
me and you.
talent out there. Are you kidding me?
Okay, but people are acting like I look at Boston, and I mean, are we gonna get onto Boston later? No, we're not. We've already kind of talked.
We
about
can
it.
talk about Boston now, though.
Boston.
Oh, this is how you
Always
bump the
down with
viewership on
Boston.
YouTube. Let's go,
Well,
dude.
That team is just. What is the one constant factor for that team's downfall? What's the one thing
No comments.
that's remained in this team since the get-go?
But they weren't always bad, though.
I mean,
Oh, do you mean Huck?
yeah, I mean Huck, the guy who's been making the decisions for this team.
Yeah, also
fact
making
that-
the decisions when they did well.
Yeah, he also made the decisions when they did well.
who got rid of Krusty?
I mean,
Oh yeah, that would be him.
But they did,
that
they
was a
did-
big problem.
so
they did-
right now, I mean, if you're a Boston fan, I mean,
So
honestly,
wait, hold
just-
on. Hold
Just
on.
pretend
angle,
to be, I don't know, move to Call of Duty or something.
So
you know?
your angle is that Huck did this, but he was here when they also played really well. But
When did
Mineral,
Boston
who
play really
coached
well?
the season 1
when did Boston
mayhem,
play really well?
didn't they? They made the playoffs in a stage like early
Yeah, they
in
got
the
a
Overwatch
perfect
League.
stage.
Yeah, they had a perfect
Like
stage.
2018?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they had Krusty as their head coach?
So we just
And then
eliminate
Krusty
that
then,
from.
Then Krusty then either got let go or left, and then blamed also Huck for that, right?
So we eliminate the good from. So building the roster that was good had
I'm
nothing to
just saying,
do with it.
Boston
Right.
has a reputation for picking up these unknown players on sort of this kind of idea of a budget contract, and then just trying to flip them for whatever money they can make. Like,
Yeah,
this
they're
is
gonna
not
make
the
a
way you
killing off
build
Jerry.
a winning team. This is actually their outlook of how to play the league is to just not play it at all, and it's, from my POV, it's disgusting. I feel like they're just not playing to win.
No, I don't think they are playing to win. I think
yeah,
they're
it's
playing to
kinda
be
rough right
semi
now.
competent and to upgrade their
Yeah.
players as
Like,
a winner.
I just cut out for like 10-15 seconds, so I missed the entire thing. But my 2 cents on it, I think it'd be silly to not at least offer some of these contenders players like the minimum contract at the very least. Because a lot of these contenders players, they're like sitting at home in their mom's basement, and they're like, "Hey, give me a chance." And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, give it to them. Like, pick up Kevster, pick up Mag, Kalios. I don't know, like OG from like Envy,
They're all-
Fincy. Like, there's so
a lot
many
of
good
them are going to
players
be
out there.
playing on really high ping, like if it's an actual
Yeah.
last minute kind of thing, right? Because
Because of the visa stuff, you mean, or?
Yeah. Well, not just visas, but like, what, you're gonna actually fly them to a central location? You're gonna get them all
Right,
tested first?
Yeah,
like
they're in a tough spot to make improvements, Boston.
or if Titans wanted to create a temporary roster,
Yeah.
like it would
To go
almost
back
have
the
to be
original
just
point
like an
about
online
Titans
team.
After my tirade about Boston.
Yeah.
Titans,
I don't really want to
think-
make excuses, but
I think just even the concept, for whatever the reason is that they are moving these players back to America after moving them to Korea, making them quarantine, it doesn't make sense if you had the well-beings of the players in mind.
But I
Doesn't
think
make
you're going
sense.
off the assumption that it's the same players.
Yes,
Okay.
because I think it's insanity to think that they would let go of these players.
I mean, until I see them play or put the thing back in their bio, I don't know what the roster is going to be.
I'm just pissed we're not seeing Haxel. Like, I'm actually like pissed, genuinely pissed. We're not seeing the best version of Titans, because this was the second best team of all of last year, and we're not seeing them. It's
Yep.
Yeah, that's
It is.
sucks. And they are versatile. They're not like goats one tricks.
would you
They're
do
super
if
versatile.
Titans-
Haxel Genji? Are you kidding me?
What I do what?
Titans just pick up a collegiate team.
Joe Meister, bro.
I would
I mean,
say
jump
good
into
night
the
to them
league.
for future years.
Yeah, I mean, what? They'll lose a bunch of games and they'll be in the same spot as Boston. I don't know.
That would be such a shame, honestly. Such a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about hero pools because we haven't talked about that yet.
Bren's the weekly. I think Bren needs Bren's player of the week, and then Bren needs a segment on his own on hero pools.
Yeah,
where he doesn't acknowledge the actual hero pool. He just says how he doesn't like it over and over again.
You seen the bans this week though?
No, Bren, tell me what they are.
McCree, Widowmaker.
I know what they are because I didn't sleep till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw it when it was drawn.
Hey, listen, fam, I'm out here grinding, working the graveyard shifts. Okay.
Really?
I did the graveyard shift with you.
Shut the fuck up, dude. I'm out here grinding. I can't be up for when they do the post show and stuff. Don't worry about it.
I went to bed
Post show? That's like 6 p.m.
I went to bed last night at 4 a.m. and I got up at 8.
Oh,
What?
that's gross. Why
I went to
would you
bed
do that
at 4 and I
yourself?
got up at 8.
That's horrible.
8 a.m.
Yeah. Then I played WoW with Gus at like 10:30.
That is disgusting. I don't think I could do that.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
But honestly though, like
You played
these-
WoW.
I've got nothing to say about the actual hero bans themselves because we've already established what we think about hero pools from the last week.
Yeah.
But what do we think
I
this is
uploaded a
gonna
video.
be?
Check out my video on hero pools. That's
What
really
is
good.
what do
Check
you
out my
think the
YouTube
meta
channel.
is going to be moving forward with this then? Because
May.
Echo's back. Echo can be played.
Reaper,
Teams are definitely going to be playing Echo.
May, Reaper.
I think people will just be playing May Reaper. I
Yeah.
think if someone
You
manages
don't
to
think
find
they're going to be playing Echo?
No.
I think if someone manages to find like a Farah Sombra counter to it, and maybe the meta evolves from there, sure. But I think May Reaper is going to be mostly played.
I think you guys are high.
What?
What, you
I
think
people
Echo's
are-
going to be played? Like,
Yeah.
how the fuck do you get value from Echo while a May
Yeah,
Reaper
what do
is
you?
just
What,
killing
hold on,
everyone else?
build me a comp, Bren.
Build your comp, Echo. Doesn't matter what the rest of it is. Build it around.
Oh, okay.
Because, listen, that hero is actually straight busted. I don't think you guys realize how broken that character is on an individual basis. People were saying Mercy's banned, so we're not going to see Echo played. I'm like, bro, yeah, maybe in gold, fam. Okay. When you
Yeah, but
actually
these
need a
teams
Mercy
will
to
just
enable
play.
you.
They'll play Lucio Moira, and they'll just speed boost in
I don't think you
and
could-
just
you guys
run over the
appreciate-
tank.
Yeah, but you can kite that, Matt. Like, you
I
could
don't-
just build a dive compositions. There are going to be teams that just build a dive composition around Echo and just try
yeah.
to force it. Look, we've had so many teams this season that play subpar compositions because they just think it's good. And so are you telling me that we're just going
Okay,
to see
well, hold
teams
on.
default to May Reaper?
So now
no,
we're-
there
so
are
now
going
we're
to be
getting into-
dumb
we're-
or Gigabrain teams that are going to play Echo because they think
So
she's
now we're
really good
getting
and build
into-
around her.
Do I think teams will try and play Echo at a subpar level? Probably. Will the good teams play it? I don't think so. I think they'll just opt to just play May Reaper with.
Look,
just
this is a
speed.
golden opportunity because McCree and Widowmaker is banned. And I actually think that if there was a meta that Echo would be viable, it probably would be this weekend. Because
Didn't
you
we
have
have a
those
week
sort of-
with,
Except the Echo tournament, they weren't even playing dive. They were playing double shield with the Echo. So how can double shield with Echo be better than double shield May Reaper?
We're just learning about this hero, Josh. It's not that like how we've got it figured out in the first
it's not like we've
week
got
of
it
the-
figured out,
No.
but they only have like 3 days to figure it out. So are they really going to come
Right.
to much better conclusions than the?
And I also think that we've had.
I
had
think there's a
weeks-
large chance we see a lot of Echo. Some
We've
teams are
had-
going to default to May Reaper, and others are going to take a chance and risk it.
We've had weeks where like the Widow and the McCree are gone, and you would think that Farah would come in and dominate, and teams just still roll out there with.
You
fucking
can't
May.
compare Echo to Farah. Like, it's two different heroes.
I don't know. Build me a comp then, Johnny. What do you think people will run?
You build me a comp.
Winston Ryan or Diva.
Winston Ryan.
No, I'm saying main tank Winston Ryan,
Oh right,
and then a Diva
okay,
with
okay.
that,
okay.
and then maybe like an Echo Tracer, Echo Doomfist, Luciana, like, and then you can disengage pretty easily from the May Reaper because May Reaper is a pretty close composition, like it's close range, and so you could easily just disengage from that, and then you can use the verticality of Echo to actually get some poke in, and you can use.
Reaper would just own that.
Who knows? It's a new hero. Like you can't. No, you don't have it figured out in the first 2
Why do you
weeks.
keep
Like you
saying
actually need to
Sombra?
practice and have some
But-
playtime.
But people aren't going to be able to practice with Echo. Like the thing is, if people did try to play with Echo, which I'm sure some people will,
Some people will.
They're weighing up like 1 week of Echo scrims versus I don't know what, like 4 weeks of them playing like rush comp scrims. So everyone is going to be better at executing the rush comps than they are to the Echo comps. It's just like undeniable, right? Like they
Yeah, sure.
to be able to practice.
Why not
So,
play,
so I don't know how, like, unless the comp itself was way better.
bro? Just replace Reaper with Echo.
Unless she's that busted that it makes.
Just replace Reaper with
Doesn't
Echo and
matter.
run May double shield, Echo, May, and then
Echo May.
Yes.
The surprise factor is so
also,
good as well.
also, I
Like,
think
you don't
teams-
realize that in the pro level, so often metas have just been able to get like one-off wins because they're unpredictable and teams haven't been playing against it for a long time. So
I
just
think,
throwing an Echo into the mix, it just changes so many variables
I think
that some
teams-
teams might struggle with it. Look, I'm not saying that the best match like Philadelphia versus Shanghai is going to have tons of Echo in it. But we're seeing some of these teams, like some of these bottom teams, just play freaking whatever and just trying stuff out. I can't see why we won't see Echo this week.
You reckon like Defiant will run it against the Gladiators or something?
Oh, for sure. I think
somebody
Surefour
will.
loves that hero.
Like Chengdu run it against New York, maybe?
Oh, you know Jinmu's fucking about it.
Yeah. Do you reckon, are we going to see Chipsa this week? The Chipsa.
Was that a question to end the episode, or?
I don't think May is going to be played as much as you might think.
Why do you?
Well, I think-
Well, also
I think-
McCree would make us
basing this
remove.
off of.
I think teams are going to start to phase her out a little bit because she's been nerfed quite heavily. And
This is not the
teams,
way
I
to
think,
do
are
it.
defaulting back to May Reaper comps because obviously they know how to execute it. But I think once the balance changes, once the kind of idea of the balance changes catch up, and teams have been experimenting with different comps already, I think you'll start to see May being phased out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially because she has a weaker ice wall now. They're reverting a bunch of her buffs, and Echo's coming in. Echo does a ton of damage. Like, one of the good things about ice wall is you're splitting them up, you're segregating them, right? You're trying to pick them off like that with the ice wall. I mean, I think the Echo does more of a job of breaking shields and ice wall than Reaper does. But
I also think though May has an inherent advantage right now, and I think that she'll still continue to get play because she is virtually a non-threat to be removed each week.
Yeah, she'll probably still be played, but
She's
I think
a
she'll be
non-threat.
played. I think May will be played alongside Echo.
Like, why build your compositions and your stuff around somebody like Echo or McCree or Tracer when that's gone every week, when you know for certain you're going to have May?
Well, the problem is you can't play May McCree this week. So you either have to play May Reaper, or May Hanzo, or May Ash. And I think those compositions are not that good against Echo.
What about
if you had May
Torb Ash?
McCree?
You play
Torb, I think, might see play time.
What about Torb Ash?
Yeah.
Like that composite the Valiant were running.
Bring my boy Torb back, dude.
Because that seems like it would be decent against Echo whilst also being decent against Rush comps.
Do you not think the sticky bombs are good against like the Turret and Torb and Ash? Like, they're pretty immobile heroes.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I actually
It'll
think
be fun.
that May Torb comp though is you're on the money there as well, because one of the things that teams are going to be trying as well a lot is going to be Tracer, Sombra, those type of compositions. Torb is a good deterrent away from them. You get the Ash as well built in. That might be the default comp that teams rely on, but who knows? They don't have enough time to practice, right? They're just going to be chucking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks in 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was cool. You guys want the power rankings?
Do you not read what comes next?
I'm looking at it's the power rankings. We just discussed
we're
what
doing
will be
power
played
rankings.
next week.
Oh, okay.
I think we should. I think we
You wanna
we can
revisit power
construct
rankings?
pretty decent power rankings now. Now that we've seen like top teams play against each other.
Didn't we say
I
that
submitted
last
my
time?
power rankings today. I have it figured out.
You think you've got it?
Just copy my power rankings 1 through 20. And that's,
All right. Well, I'm not.
and now we can go to the next segment. Number 1, the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, I think
Hard agree. Hard agree.
Bren, do you want to spend 5 seconds talking about how you predicted this 2 years ago?
No.
Wait, are you not splitting up Asia and North America? With the new tournament format as well. I
You
mean,
should split them.
they're not even going to.
That would be very intellectually honest to do. Yes, you are correct indeed, sir. No comments.
So then it's Seoul, right? If we're working down the Asian teams.
No, New York.
I think. Well, here's the
Wait.
thing. Just because Seoul got absolutely stomped by Shanghai, who's to say that wouldn't happen to New York as well? Because New York have beaten a weakened Guangzhou with Neptuno out of the lineup. They beat Chengdu, which is Chengdu. You know, I'd probably say they're the weakest team in Asia.
Though.
I don't think Seoul are bad.
Like, their
but I think-
adaptations were weak, dude.
I think you'd have a quite a close match between Seoul and New York if you were to.
Yeah.
The only time New York has played against a team the level of Shanghai, they also got pooed on.
Yeah.
They played against them, they got pooed on.
So I put Shanghai 1, Philly 2, San Francisco 3rd, Seoul at 5, and number 4 I think was New York. I think New York was 4. New York 4, Seoul 5.
I think it's like obvious to put New York above Seoul right now, but I don't think that makes it true. I don't think that they actually are. I think that we are just like the recency bias from seeing Seoul get smashed.
Well, what if New York? Yeah, I mean, New York, I think could easily. Like if New York were to beat Shanghai this week, they would jump to number 1.
Oh hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Just interject here,
yeah,
and say that this hundreds of dollars worth of ramen has been delivered to this house and is sitting either side of me, and the guy hasn't come to pick it up. So what do I do?
We get a sponsorship.
I think you eat the ramen.
But there's
how much ramen did you order?
I ordered enough for one, which is quite a lot. I ordered like.
Are you sure you
noodles.
Are you sure you didn't accidentally put like a 0 on the end of everything and you ordered just 10 times as much ramen?
This is supposed to go to. This was supposed to go to Damara Yu.
Oh.
And instead, it went to me.
You just doxed him on Plat Chat.
Well, I don't know who they are, him or her, I don't care. But they ordered spicy chicken ramen.
Okay.
And umami miso. Thank you, Kurt. They ordered umami miso with a fuck ton of seasoned eggs. 3 lemonades, by the way. Why are you drinking 3 lemonades?
They probably store in them.
What?
Margaritas?
3 people.
A bunch of butter as well. And,
butter?
And some gyoza, yeah.
People need butter, yeah. What?
Wait, I think some people put butter in like the ramen and shit.
Yeah, you're supposed to put it on the ramen, but I don't know why.
Where do you put it in the power rankings? Where do you put it?
How does this affect power rankings, Bren?
Whatever site you ordered from, like whether it was DoorDash or Postmates or whatever, they're not going to come and pick it back up and deliver it to them cold. They're just going to, whoever it was is going to complain, and then they're going to get their money back.
And
so yeah, they get a refund.
That was why
they get their money back.
Eat this gyoza.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right? Like I would give it, wait until it's totally cold and inedible, and then eat it.
It's too late. I'm eating it.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
There you go. Just say you didn't get it.
I think you can only rank the teams separate of their regions. I think with especially how the tournament format's gonna go.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
but that still doesn't answer our question. Is Seoul better than New York?
No. I'm gonna say that Seoul is
third. Bad.
It's so hard to tell.
Look, Prophet played May for 3 straight maps, and I hated it. I hated it.
You know what they looked like?
Bad.
They looked like against Shanghai. They looked like the same exact thing that they did with London, where they just never made adjustments mid-series, but instead of Fury and the other Bird Ring and Nuss, they just had new players in there. But they literally, it was the same type of thing where it's like, well, hey, we're really good at this one thing and we're just going to keep doing it even when it doesn't work. And they just commit. And that scares the shit out of me because I saw what happened with London and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting a flashback watching this. I was like, they're just in.
What was evident from that game to me was that both teams had put in prep on what to exploit, but Seoul had a game plan that was obviously sticking to the comps that they did. But Shanghai's was a little bit better, which was force Marvel into a position where he can be exploited.
But that's
playing a diva.
But that wasn't even it. Like there was so many other things. Like Toby played Lucio the entire match. It's like play some Baptiste, play some Brigana, like adjust to the maps.
I think Seoul came into it with that comp, and it was like, okay, here's how we're gonna execute this.
Okay, so it was a shit plan. So rank them lower.
But when do you say though? It's like, okay, we saw the players last year for London not make any mid-game adjustments and just lose series with the same exact thing you just saw. And then now most of this team is the roster that did that. Like, is it just the same exact issue, just dressed up differently?
It's not the players.
Well, once you're in the game, it's on the players.
Well, wasn't
like,
the players the same as the London Spitfire? Isn't
choices?
That
yeah, it's Changun.
Yeah, exactly. He was for a London Spitfire coach as well.
Yep.
So I would take a guess that it's a player-driven team at this point then.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you've convinced me as well. Seoul didn't have a great plan. They got absolutely shit-stomped. And the NYXL have not just looked good on May, they've actually looked good on Dive as well. So
what do you think about Seoul's future? Because we didn't see like Michelle, although Marvel evidently can play Diva now.
It was one match. I would chill.
I
am Guangzhou and Hangzhou this week. I want to see those 2 matches.
I mean, the Guangzhou matches, they're just going to shitstorm them. They shitstorm them.
Yeah. It's not going to be like that's the thing with Seoul is now I'm like, okay, I want to see them against more top teams because I'm convinced just off of skill of having Marvel, Gesture, Profit, Fits, like they're going to beat those teams even if they're not playing optimally, right?
Yeah.
Like are they going to lose the Chengdu because they're just committing to one thing? No, they're just going to beat them because they're better.
I want to see Seoul have a close game once. Like I want to see like who they're close to. I don't want to see them dominate teams. I don't want to see them get dominated. I want to see.
That's going to be a bad game. You know that's going to be a bad game. Just like mistakes everywhere.
How much? Bad game like that as well, though.
I would say as well. If Shanghai beats New York bad, they are far and away probably the best team. In Asia, and I
don't think that's unreasonable. I think that might happen. I think Shanghai might beat the shit out of New York as well, and we might be sat here again next week saying, "My God, Jonak, what the hell was he doing out of position so much? What the fuck are they doing running?"
I think there's a better chance for New York to put up a better fight than Seoul did.
Well, yeah, because you already know that Seoul didn't put up a fight. Right, so it's like they can't be much worse.
But it seems like other people knew as well. Like you had the thing from Super when he said on his stream. I watched his stream maybe like a week before that, and he was saying the same thing. And he was saying as well,
that must
like
be because they scrimmed them though.
Yeah, he was saying like a week before you brought it to light. He was on stream and he's like somebody's gonna get exposed in that match. I don't want to tell you guys who, but somebody is going to get stomped in that.
I think that's so big brain from Mr. Delisi.
Yeah.
But evidently, like...
Yeah, I mean, if Seoul wins 3-0, he's right anyway, right?
He has obviously the insider information because he's been scrimming against them, right? But
yeah.
I mean, just watching Seoul play, I did not assume that they were going to get shit stomped. I couldn't see a weakness for them. Obviously different when you're playing against them and you've got Krusty whispering in sweet nothings in your ear saying, yes, play aggressively, focus Marvel, yes. And then you do it in game and you dominate.
But I still don't think like it was a pure a target Marvel thing. Like I think it was across the board. I think
but they never adjusted.
It looked like they were shocked by the Asian kind of dive compositions. And they weren't accustomed to it because they've been playing in North America, playing these slower kind of compositions. And they just weren't adjusted to the tempo.
Before that match, Marvel, I think... What was the stat, Josh? It was. I know it was
the third highest deaths on Divas. Is that what you mean?
But the highest elim rate out of all the Divas, which is understandable because they dominated their game. But they dominated their game, and Marvel had the third highest death rate of all the Divas. This was before their match. It's probably way higher now.
Yeah, but some people as well, they were saying like, oh, you know, like Stand 1 was dominating Gesture in the Rhine battle, and I was like, yeah. Maybe because he's better, but also because Seoul is playing an inferior composition and making it harder for themselves.
Sure.
You know, it goes like hand in hand.
My take
I don't even think it was a comps thing at all, though. I feel like it was...
Really?
I feel like it was mostly execution-based. Because the compositions that they were playing were not, like... They weren't terrible at all. They were just, you know, maybe slightly different. It wasn't like they were playing throw comps at all throughout the entire series.
No.
They just...
No, but it was a reactive composition because they were playing May against like Farah, what's it? Farah something else. Farah. Yeah, and it's like you're playing so reactively and you have to speed boost across all the time to try and find picks. And it's so hard to play May against those kind of compositions and try to find those picks.
I don't know. They were beating the shit out of Spark when they were running the Farah as well. It was like the same kind of stuff. I feel like those battles though do come down to execution. Like I don't really think that the May McCree is just naturally worse than any Farah comp. I feel like it just comes down to being able to execute well, and they just were dreadful.
I don't know. We'll wait for Super. We'll wait for Super and tweet me and just tell me I'm trash.
Soul strike me as a team that when we were watching them. The impression I got was that all of the players on this team, when the going gets rough, they are very much a team that focus on their individual abilities and popping off and almost trying to make these big plays happen to sort of change the momentum of a game.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that, I think, with against a team like Shanghai. I mean, I think that might work against some of the weaker opponents, but when they were playing such high-tempo Overwatch, they're all playing together as a team. And you're right, Johnny. It wasn't just that they were focusing on Marvel and forcing him into uncomfortable positions. Like, they played high tempo across the board, and they were forcing mistakes out of Seoul. But at that point, the thing that makes that comp work, that Seoul were running, is coordination, right? And when you start pounding a team over and over again, like I'm actually not going to say because we're trying to get sponsored, but when you start pounding them, it just falls to pieces. Like whatever game plan you had or some sort of synergy, and if you start reverting back to this idea of I gotta pop off, I gotta hit a shatter now, Gesture starts shattering shields, fucking Prophet's trying to hit icicles across the map to try and dome Fleta, it's everyone's trying their own individual ideas when maybe they just needed to take a step back, rethink what they were doing as a whole. That's what Soul strike me as a team. Now the question is, do you guys actually want to do power rankings here?
Yeah, I think we should. I think we've discussed this for a while, right? And I agree. I think New York are above Seoul, but
you want to split them up Asia, NA?
Yeah. Okay. Wrapping up that match, though, before we get into it, I just want to say that I may seem very harsh on Seoul, but I still rank them number 5. That's how highly I think of them. I was just mostly impressed by Shanghai's ability to just dominate them, because Shanghai looked incredible.
What a performance from Shanghai.
So good. Right. They were insane.
I haven't seen a team this year that looked that good.
Where would you go with the rest?
Check out their Hanamura attack. Their Hanamura attack was insane.
The rest of the Asian teams, where would you place them?
I think you got to put like Guangzhou, Hangzhou.
Okay, well, let's wait a second. Let's sort out the Asian because we haven't done that yet. So we'll start with Shanghai number 1.
Yep.
Yep. New York
number 2.
Yep.
Seoul number 3.
Seoul number 3.
Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Chengdu.
I probably
forgot about Vancouver.
No, Guangzhou beat them recently, like handily. They beat them 3-1 or something.
Joshua, you are our resident Guangzhou expert.
So we've
how bad is it that
what do you do at London? What do you do at London? Because they haven't played.
Oh my God, London are there. I forgot that London were in Asia.
I mean, no, don't rank them.
You just got to put.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can rank London or Vancouver because we haven't seen either of them in.
Oh well, Vancouver are now in the NA anyway, right? So I mean, actually,
but just put both those teams in a different in another bracket until we see them again.
Done.
Can I ask you this, Josh? How much will, because you're our resident Guangzhou expert, how much will they miss Neptuno?
I don't think it'll make that much difference for them. I think it'll make a bit of difference. I think.
Are you saying Neptuno's trash?
Did I ever say that? No. I think that Neptuno probably adds more in terms of the calling than he really adds in terms of the play for the team. I think I think that he'll be missed a little bit, but not too much. I don't think it'll make that much difference to them in the short term as well. I don't think long term it'll make that much difference to the team whatsoever. I think they'll get used to it because they played with Chara previously and they were perfectly fine with it.
Played with Chara like all last year.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Atlantic.
All right, boys, listen up.
Because that kind of puts away the.
Listen up.
What?
We're gonna speed run this, okay?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
It's nice that the host goes silent every once in a while, smashes some ramen, and then comes back.
Bro, I actually just put it on the kitchen counter, fam. Listen, don't step to man because you actually can. Yeah. You're 5 foot, 5'2", okay? You can't step to man. You wouldn't come near me.
My dog will
speed run it. Stop talking smack.
Well, I can't. The power rankings have disappeared. I've forgotten what teams are in which region.
Philly,
Philly, Paris.
Atlanta?
No, Philly shot
Atlanta.
Paris out of here. Paris just got slaughtered by Florida.
No. Wait, you said Atlantic.
Oh, no. You just do the whole
North America.
Oh, yeah, North America, yeah.
We're just going to do it based on
of course, no. Yeah.
Yeah, Philly, Shock.
Philly, Shock.
Atlanta.
I don't know, man. It's hard as soon as you get out of Philly Shock.
Yeah.
No, Atlanta Gladiators. Atlanta Gladiators.
Probably Atlanta Gladiators.
Atlanta Gladiators.
What about Florida?
Paris.
Florida looked decent. I think we just haven't seen Florida in a while. They beat Paris
Boston.
Eternal. They beat Paris.
True, but
they beat the shit out of Paris.
Wait. We need to make it clear first. How, XC not playing is a big freaking deal. So let's make it clear. We're only basing Paris on the fact that they're not playing XC.
Right.
If they play XC, there's way better. But they're not playing XC, so it doesn't matter.
I would argue as well, they only looked good when XC was playing McCree as well.
Yeah. For the season.
Wait a second, because XC didn't play in their game against Philly, and they took them to 5 maps. And then XC doesn't play in the next game, and they get 3 by Florida.
That was
everyone's like, oh, it's just because XC isn't here.
No, but that was a week of the one where they played against Philly. There was no McCree in the pool.
Yeah, true. but as soon as playing like the Reaper and the
Right, but then as soon as they play McCree, they get fucking poo-pooed.
Urster played in May. Was really
What a
good.
difficult task we've got. Should we start with the bottom? We know what the bottom teams are.
Yeah, start with the bottom. Boston,
Washington, Toronto,
Welcome in Toronto.
Outlaws,
then
Fuel.
Outlaws.
Yep.
Oh, it's
But the trouble is, the Outlaws, when they play their Doomfist Sombra, I think they could beat some of these middle of the pack teams.
Yeah,
Well,
but
who
you
are the
wouldn't
middle of
rank
the pack?
Chengdu higher.
yeah.
But the thing is, though, the
Houston
Outlaws,
is the Chengdu of the West.
the Outlaws actually stick with their wacky comps and they don't sub out a player and try and play meta comps like Chengdu do. So for that reason, if it was Outlaws versus Hunters, I would have Outlaws winning that.
Right. So who are you saying Outlaws are better than though?
Right.
I
think they're better than
they could
Florida?
beat-
'Cause I don't
think they
think
could
so.
beat
No.
Valiant.
Outlaws.
Yeah,
I think that's a reasonable take. I think if the meta's good for Outlaws, they could definitely win that game.
Yeah.
I think though that the Valiant have looked pretty decent. Like
They have, yeah.
it seems
But this is the issue. The middle of the pack is now competitive with each other,
it is, yeah.
and we're trying to find the slight differences. It's very difficult.
My biggest issue is trying to find out where Paris sit. Because
Yeah.
if you ignore their loss to Florida, you would have them up at the top, like right
I'm not
underneath the
high.
shot.
I'm
But
not
you
high
don't
on
ignore their loss to Florida.
Well, exactly, you can't.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to knock them down quite a lot because they looked poor in that game.
Would you say Fuel would beat Florida?
No.
I don't know.
I think they might.
I think Florida. Are better
No,
than
I'd
Florida
rate
right now.
Fuel higher.
Really?
I would. No,
what?
well, it's like, recently, and it's power rankings. You base it on recent performances. But I just saw some of those early Florida performances, and I think Decay and Doha, and I'm quite bullish on the Dallas Fuel still. I think they are a good team.
Do you think Dallas played well against Outlaws? Because I don't think they did.
End the podcast.
This is an issue I had. So this is an issue that I foresaw in my dreams with Dallas, because I had literally been gassing up Dallas like no one's business. I was the fucking hype man. I was behind them on the stage and I was going, yeah! Every time they were spitting off a bar or lyric, I was the one in the back line just going, oh, yeah! Just literally screaming them up. But
Sure.
the issue with this team is I think that they can play up to opponents, but they'll also play down to them. Not to say that Houston were playing at a lower level, but I think if they go up against teams, especially like Houston with that match, because we've been getting in their heads saying it's the battle for Texas, even though it's kind of a forced rivalry, let's be honest. Every time we
How's
say
that
it's the battle for
forced?
Texas, it's kind of a forced rivalry.
They're both from Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's artificial. Aren't all borders artificial?
No, Philly, Paris is
Dude, what the hell is... quarantine's gotten the
Bro, they
Bren.
must have put some psychedelics in the gyoza, that's all I know.
It's cracked Bren's
His
mental.
Friend
dude.
steals
streams
$100 of
are really good,
ramen, and then he's just full on anarchist, down with all borders, open up everywhere.
Yeah, like what the hell?
I didn't steal the ramen. It got delivered
Yeah,
at
you
my
did.
door.
Sorry, did you pay for the ramen?
I didn't steal it, Josh.
Did you eat the ramen?
Bro,
did you
what
pay
is
for the ramen?
this?
Did you eat the ramen? You stole the ramen.
No, I ate the gyoza.
Well, then you stole the gyoza.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No,
it was theft
because
by
association.
We are
because
never getting through the
I
power
waited
rankings.
and I waited and I waited and nobody came.
All right, okay.
At that point, I have to eat it, otherwise it's going to go bad.
Sounds like my
It's
life.
just a waste,
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
Power
besides the
rankings.
point, I think Dallas, I think they play to the same level as their opponents in a lot of scenarios. And they're capable of, like, when they play against the Shock, they're probably gassing themselves up, right?
Yeah.
Thinking, oh God, we're playing against the big dogs, the big boys of our region. We have to play well. But then they play against a team like Houston. They start getting in their heads a little bit more. They're like, oh, we have to play against Houston. This is like the battle for Texas. We have to win this one. Houston are also doing the same thing. They're like, okay, we're going to play to win like this. You end up with these two teams that are playing. Yes, they made mistakes. Both teams made mistakes. But I wouldn't say that this was not the Dallas and Houston of the last 2 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, both of these teams were quite majorly improved. My issue with it is that Dallas just looked like they were trying to wing it a lot of the time. They were also forcing bad compositions on, I think it was Route 66, where they just fed repeatedly.
There were some bad ultimates in these games.
Yeah, some horrible ults. And Dallas are just getting carried by their DPS. Like, it's just so obvious that this team lives
so
or
would that
dies by
work
how well they do.
against the Paris Eternal?
No, I don't think so. I think that Paris and Florida, I think, have enough coordination to be able to beat
What
that
about
team.
Valiant?
Well, Valiant's a good question. They did beat them, so I think you have to rank the Valiant below them.
Yeah.
Because the Valiant have some team coordination, but not enough to be able to fend off the Dallas Fury.
Yeah,
Difficult, right?
I mean, Valiant fans can watch this VOD, but I don't think you can just justify it. I think it's hard to justify Valiant being higher than they are because like they just haven't had the results. And I get it; it's a hard strength of schedule, but it's hard to justify their position high in the rankings.
You guys
Now,
want me
would
to
you
read
put
out the
Valiant
list?
above Outlaws?
Huh?
Yes, I would.
What did you say, Josh?
Would you put Valiant above Outlaws?
Yeah, I would. I know you are more bullish on Outlaws than I am.
I think they are in line with one another.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to tell.
I think they're about equal.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's difficult. Well, the question then comes then, which fan base do you want to trigger by putting them above each other? Because this is going to get screenshotted and put onto Reddit.
I think
so
we
can...
have to trigger the Houston fan base,
Okay,
right?
so put Houston lower than Valiant then, even though we think they're equal.
It's just for legacy purposes, I feel like.
I think they're used to it by now. I think they're used to it.
They won't take it as offensive as the Valiant fans would.
The Outlaws also have this like condition where they love being put down in the rankings, so they can actually come back and tweet at other people as they get wins.
Yeah.
So I think they secretly love being underrated.
Bit like New York in that regard, actually.
I think Houston fans just generally like to be hurt. They like to have their expectations built up and then get beaten back down. And have people tell them they're shit all the time. I think there's some like sick little twisted part of being a Houston Outlaws fan.
They saw them play Maul and was like, oh, these feelings. I haven't felt this before. Like, what's happening?
So this is the list that we have.
Move on, please.
This is the list that we have. Fusion, Shock, Atlanta Reign, Gladiators, Florida, Paris, Dallas, Valiant, Houston, Toronto, Washington, Boston.
Are we putting Atlanta above Gladiators?
Yeah, I felt weird about that when I said it. I felt a little bit weird.
The Atlanta Reign really haven't beaten anybody good, have they? And what is their record? Like, it's not even, their record isn't even that.
Don't do Erster and Baby Bay like that.
But they have looked good, except that final match recently where they just got shit-fisted by the Philadelphia Fusion.
I can't even remember it. It was so one-sided, I can't remember it.
But they didn't get shit-fisted, did they?
They kind of did.
Look at the scoreline. Look at the scoreline, the actual map-by-map scoreline.
Yeah, they got pounded on
map
the ball.
one, map 1, 2-0. Map 2, 6-4.
Right.
Map 3 went to overtime again, 5-4.
Yeah.
Volskaya was really weird.
Last two maps went to
right, but Volskaya,
overtime.
I don't feel was close. It was just
Baby Bay was popping off and then feeding. It was really weird.
Baby Bay had
that was
an insane round to carry them through, and the rest of the time.
I want to speak. I want to speak. Let me speak, Josh. Oh, come on. I watched that game, and do you know what that struck me as? That was a classic Philly maneuver. Do you know what I mean by that? Carpe popping the fuck off. It was like the Carpe effect, I think, during that match, Atlanta Reign versus Philly.
Because I had a KD of like 3.8 by the end of the match. I mean, that's a drubbing.
Yep.
Carpe,
he's pretty good.
popped the fuck off, dude. And when Carpe's on fire like that, sometimes it doesn't mean you're a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, I would argue that that series was still competitive, despite the fact that Carpe was playing very, very well.
I said that Carpe is the leading candidate for MVP 2020.
Wow, that's
my argument.
Take.
That's my case.
Wow.
I've made it, Your Honor.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Carpe is I think he's the MVP right now. I mean, obviously, who knows what would happen with like Shanghai, right? As they continue to improve.
I think
let's go to predictions.
Rookie of the year as well.
Yeah,
are we
let's
done
do the predictions. Yeah.
All right, predictions. That's our power rankings. Then it's complete.
Man, I feel bad about the Gladiators, but yeah, I agree.
Go on, him. Prediction time.
I think we're overrating Florida, but that's for another episode.
First game that we're predicting. We're only doing 2 this week.
We're all predicting the same teams.
Whoa, hold up. Shanghai versus New York. We've all gone Shanghai.
We've all gone Shanghai. Yeah, I mean,
Shanghai.
Whoa! No way!
I think this is going to be, although I did pick Shanghai, I think it's going to be much closer than how the Seoul game was.
Yeah, of course.
I guess but I just, even before that, I would have said. I mean, I wanted
No
New York
way.
ranked higher. I wanted New York ranked higher last week.
No,
No, you
Not
fucking
over
didn't.
Seoul, not over
Shut
Seoul, but where we
up.
had
No,
them.
I did. I did.
Right.
Where we
Hey,
had
look at
them.
you! Look
Only
at
I
you
can
two
take
trying to
credit.
score fucking brownie points with the New York Excel, trying to get that Ambox
I
merch
can
sent
take
to your
credit.
doors.
Hells yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I love that
Get-
inbox merch,
get
dude.
out
He
of
can
here,
come.
fam.
Hey,
Listen.
dude, Josh can promote Guangzhou, dude, and the two Novada reviews. I can fucking say I want some. I like New York.
Okay. Well, okay. So we all think that.
At least I
think
have
it'll be a
ties
close
to New
game as
York.
well.
Josh has no ties to Guangzhou.
Matt, I agree
Doesn't
with
know where it
you.
is on a map.
I agree with you, Matt. I've got some Yao hands going on right now. You guys know about Yao hands?
No.
What?
It's like something I think in the gay community they talk about where like men have big hands. You know?
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? All right. Well, next game, it's Atlanta versus Valiant, and everyone has gone Atlanta, or have they? Because Kurt has decided to go with Valiant, and we've got a little picture of Kurt
Kurt's
going next
doing
to
pretty-
Valiant.
Why is Kurt taking the Kurt?
So
He can't
who's-
speak right now, but Kurt's gone Valiant.
Johnny left. Johnny left.
Oh, it's fucked up the boxes. Yeah, Kurt went Valiant. We all went Atlanta for this one. But I think that's reasonable because if we look at what we think might be played, which is like the Torbash compositions, Valiant were one of the first ones that were running that kind of comps. And if they try and run it into a stubborn Atlanta,
So
I
did
could
you
see
allow-
next week being in their favor a little bit.
So you just gave me crap, but then you let Kurt pick. So you get basically a selection of both teams, and then you just make an argument for both sides.
Listen, I should be doing head-to-heads, not you, Matt. That's all we figured out here.
That's
What?
pretty dreadful, honestly.
You don't think
It's
that argument holds
horrible.
up in a court of law?
I don't think so.
Why not?
No.
I mean, it starts with the premise that we're going to be playing Torbash comps to begin with.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
is quite an assertion to make.
Yep.
And then it says that they're going to be able to beat a team that otherwise would be considered vastly better than them just off the basis of that.
Yep.
I mean, they couldn't beat the Gladiators, who aren't
Now-
that much better than them.
Just
running
saying,
that composition.
I have predicted Atlanta. I'm just making an argument for the other side.
Okay. You know what? It is possible to me, though, that we've massively overrated Atlanta this entire time just because they've looked good against top teams.
Yeah.
I think there's a world in which the Atlanta Rain are actually kind of not a middle of the pack team, but more of like a
What?
I don't
Are
know.
the Gladiators? Better or worse than the Gladiators? I think Gladiators is the bar.
I think they could well be worse than the Gladiators, Atlanta, and I don't know whether they are, but I think there's definitely a world in which they are because they've had up and down performances. They haven't beaten any top teams, but they've gone close. But they've had like some really weird maps where they've like remember the whole beginning of that game where they played against Philadelphia Fusion and they didn't run Ursta for like the whole of the first half. They just didn't run Ursta. They didn't run any May, and then they just brought him back in and
Yeah.
True, actually.
some weird
Night and day,
decision making
It's
going
true,
on.
bro. True.
So, and then in the most recent game, they ran Ursta the entire time and got pounded. So,
All right.
Who knows?
know.
Yeah.
One
Hard to tell.
last thing. The final segment of the day. You ready? Oh, it's Bren's player of the week. Wait. Wait for it.
Bren's player of the week.
There you go.
oh, that was good.
Okay. Now, I coughed at the end there. My player of the week this week is a guy who's always been, I would say, a role model for the scene. It's a man who can not only bench a lot, he performs well on this main stage. He can back it up with some spicy banter. He's got a popping stream. It's none other than Matthew DeLisi. Mr. DeLisi
Did he
coming
play
out
this
swinging,
week?
and it's because of his
Yes, it did.
absolute fire tweet silencing the brand account saying, damn, got dominated so hard in the Asia region, you had to come back to get
Yeah,
some
that's
easier
really good.
wins. I respect it. Straight up demolishing and outratioing the Vancouver Titans Twitter.
And he also just bashes the fucking region that he's in, saying all the teams there are easy.
Bro, I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, listen, I'm actually surprised. I don't think I've given my player of the week to Super at all. Have I?
No.
I don't think so. This is the first opportunity. It's surprising to me because he usually comes out with some bangers, but that's my player of the week because you need somebody to bring the fire like that, and he's
I
bringing
love
the
the-
sauce, raw sauce.
I do love the fact that a lot of players were like that play in NA liked his tweet and were like, "Oh shit, you snapped," and then they didn't realize that they also got called that their teams were easy to beat in the process.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, would the players?
Like, oh, you roasted them, and then they're
I feel
like,
like
"Oh
that's
shit,
only
we're
bad
1-9."
I feel like that's only bad if Boston players responded to it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you
No,
gotta
there's
let
a
the
lot of
Boston players
teams,
live
like-
a bit. Let them live a bit.
I feel like Super is like the Grim Reaper of the Overwatch Twitter. Like he just shows up at people's Twitter feeds and just gives like a banging reply and just out ratio someone super hard, and you dread the day that you get attacked by Super. He just shows up,
Just waiting.
and it's on Reddit. Boom.
I also love that he called out Seoul Dynasty so hard before their game.
Yeah.
Like, it does take some balls to call the result of a game. Like, to be fair, from the inside knowledge that he had from playing scrims, he must have realized that they were quite significantly worse than Shanghai.
Yep.
But even then, most people don't call that a team's going to get like hard exposed in a match.
Yeah.
Just based on scrim data. So I like that he just went out.
But they could have. I mean, we only saw Seoul play 2 games in NA. He could have had also other info of like other top teams in NA that had scrim Seoul and like really punished them.
True.
And thought that they weren't as highly rated.
Yeah. It's pretty
Trying
sick.
to find,
Good week.
trying to find something to talk about, I guess.